This is going to be my second video about Warhammer Quest. First we had the components, and as I promised we're going to have a little tour of the first couple of rooms that you might see in a dungeon. Okay, this is just designed for some people who may have not played the game to appreciate exactly what they're missing out on, as it were, and to see how the game plays its a couple of turns, and for those of us who just enjoy anything Warhammer Quest related. So our dungeon has been set up. We use the dungeon deck, which I've got down here. The dungeon deck is very, very simple. All you do is you take one objective room. There are 5 objective rooms, and you roll to see exactly what's going on in that dungeon. So we've taken the standard, recommended one, which was the fighting pit. We've added 6 cards to it, and there's passageways and rooms and T-junctions and all of that sort of stuff. Shuffled those 6 up, and then added 7 cards on top. So we know that our objective lies in the last sort of 6 to 7 cards of the deck. The very first card we pulled out was the passageway. Before we placed our characters onto the board, we also did a little bit of housekeeping. We set the barbarian, the elf, the wizard and the dwarf's character cards up. They all come with a different item. The barbarian comes with a lantern. That just means that he gets to explore first. The dwarf with the elf with a healing potion, which means he can recover someone from 0 health. You will use the healing potion. The wizard has some cool Hand of Death scroll. Sounds about as good as it is. It kills things quite easily. The dwarf has a rope. We've also set up their health. Being the frugal person I am, I actually have used 1 adventure sheet for all of them because there's not very many left. The final thing we've done is work out the wizard's power. You roll a d6. If it's a 1, you can re-roll. You can't re-roll a second one. And luckily we rolled 3. Not brilliant, but not terrible. And we determine his spells. He's got Levitate, he's got Fireball, and he's got Healing Hands. Okay, you're allowed to use your spells in addition to attacking and moving, so it means that the wizard's quite flexible. So, we've entered the dungeon. The very first thing we do is roll 1 dice to see what the power of the magic is going around in the day. We won't see the dice. I've rolled a 4, and you put that on the wizard's card. So if I zoom back out, go down to the wizard's card, and you can see we've got the 4 on there. If we roll a 1, then something nasty happens. Now luckily we didn't, and of course when something nasty happens, we've just rolled a 1 for power. He only has, if we've got a 1, he only has 4 power total, and once he's used his innate stuff up, then we're kind of doomed. So he could only cast Levitate. He couldn't cast Fireball if we'd roll a 1, because that would be 5, he only had 4 power. And he could cast Healing Hands a couple of times. Healing Hands is a really good healing spell because it's so cheap. As he didn't roll a 1, all that is left is for the heroes to move. They can move 4, so if I just zoom out just a smidgen, we'll have the barbarian move along 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The wizard can follow up. 1, 2, 3. A bit worried that the barbarian's going to lead them into a death trap. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the elf, and then 1, 2, 3. The dwarf can't catch up. He can't move into the 4th space because it's blocked by the wizard and the elf. I think I did that slightly out of turn. Technically the barbarian goes first, then the elf, then the wizard, and then the dwarf. So I just did it slightly out of order. Now we're by an open door. Okay, for those of you who watch my components breakdown, I've painted some of the doors up, so we've dry brushed them a little bit. Look at how stony effect it is. So that means we get to turn over the next dungeon card. So I pull out the dungeon card, and it is the guard room. The dim light of your lantern illuminates what appears to be a floor covered in a checkerboard pattern. Now this is definitely going to trigger an event as soon as we walk in. So we take the guard room. Now it may come as a shock to you, but I think I might have known what that one was. So I've got it all set up and we slot it in. Okay, so we've slotted in the guard room, and that is the next room in the dungeon. We've got some nasty glare unfortunately from my lights. That's the end of our round. So the next thing to do is to roll a dice. Let me just try and get that glare slightly fixed. We roll the dice for power. This time it's a 3. Okay, so that did nothing for the glare. So we go down and we can see we've got a 3. on the wizard, so he's now got potentially up to 6 power, which means that given that we're not going to have a nasty event immediately, we can move the heroes in. This is where maybe a bit of tactics come in. The barbarian's going to want to cleave loads of people, so he'll walk straight into the middle of the room. The wizard, oh, we shouldn't move the wizard first. Let's do it in the right order. The elf moves in next. 1, 2. Now he can move 2 more, but he probably doesn't really want to. He's a bit squishy, so what we'll do is we'll put him at the corner. 3. Then the wizard moves in. 1, 2, 3. We'll stick him next to the barbarian in the hope that he can be protected by the barbarian. And finally the dwarf. 1, 2, 3. And we'll move him down there. 4. So, that's the end of the heroes go. Okay, we can see them all exploring quite scarily. And of course something's about to jump out. So we go over to the decks and we pull up the top event card. Now this is one of the big differences between the role-playing game and the actual game, or the base game I should say, is normally for the role-playing game you would roll for an event. But we've pulled out an event card just because we're using the base game, and we have Goblin Spearmen. Okay, they're not very powerful. 2 wounds, 2 weapon skill, 3 strength and 3 toughness. But there's 6 of them. Now the way the game works is quite clever. We take 6 goblins. The first 4 are automatically going to be spread evenly between the heroes. So we'll put 1 next to the barbarian. We'll put 1 next to the wizard, put 1 next to the dwarf, and we'll put 1 next to the elf. But we were asked to draw 6, not 4. So we take these little discs, okay, they're a bit dog-eared because it's an old game. We flick them over, and then the fifth goblin is going to attack the elf. The 6th goblin is therefore going to attack the barbarian. So that means that we can put those last 2 goblins on. We'll put 1 next to the barbarian and 1 next to the elf. Now, that was our round. Okay, we moved in, then an event happened. Now, you'd think that these guys would attack, but actually they're so exhausted from jumping out from the shadows, okay, that they don't do anything this round. But it's not looking good. We've got loads of goblins trying to eat us. Okay, oh dear. So the next round we're going to roll the dice again. Okay, so we've got the power dice. See what we roll. Oh, that went on the floor. Luckily we didn't roll a 1. If we'd rolled a 1, another thing would have happened. We rolled a 2. Unfortunately that means the wizard is not going to be doing masses of power spell casting. Now, it's the adventurer's phase. Normally they'd move, but obviously at this point they don't particularly want to. If they wanted to move away from the monsters, the elf can move away automatically because he's nimble. The wizard struggles less. I think he moves away on a 4. The barbarian moves away on a 5, and the dwarf, being slow and short, moves away on a 6+. So you've got to roll the dice to try and move away. So let's try and attack with the barbarian. The barbarian, firstly, has to decide if he's going to go mental or not, because he's a Norse psycho. So we roll a dice. In this case it was a 4, I'm way too close, sorry. A 4. He needs to roll a 6 to go properly psycho and get 2 attacks. Or a 1 means that he attacks everyone around him who was a goodie. So 4's not terrible, it's not great. We look at his character card. The goblin has a weapon skill of 2, so we compare that to the barbarian's weapon skill. An enemy's weapon skill 2, that means we need a 3 to hit. So I'll roll the dice, and luckily we've rolled a 5. Whoop, there's a 5. Now, this is actually pretty much auto kill. We're going to roll another dice and add our strength to it. The strength of the barbarian is 4, so we roll the dice, and we've got 3, so 4 plus 3 is 7. We take away the goblin's toughness. So we minus 3, which leaves 4 hits left. They only have 2 wounds, so we've killed him. We've actually overkilled him to the power of 2. So this goblin is dead. Now, we have this cool thing called a death blow, and this represents the hero swinging through the goblin and slaughtering him and the next guy. So we can actually roll to hit the next goblin. but unfortunately the barbarian rolled a 2, so that one is actually okay. So moving forward, the elf, it's the same principle. He rolls a 5, so he's hit the first one. We add 4 plus 3 to his strength, and he actually kills the first goblin. He can do a death blow as well, so he rolls again. He's rolled a 3. Now the elf's pretty good at hitting things, so he hits on a 3. And this time he's rolled a 1. So his strength is 3. His roll was 1, which means he did 4 damage. Now we just said that the goblins have a toughness of 3, so that actually means that that goblin wasn't killed. He has 1 wound left, so we put a little red dice, I don't know if we can see that, next to the goblin to represent that he has 1 wound. Basically, in a nutshell, that is what a first turn would look like. We'll carry on rolling, we'll try and clear that out of goblins. If we just fast forwarded just a little second, we said we killed all of these nasty goblins. Okay, we'd get a treasure card, and I just want to show you what they sort of look like. So you'd be able to take over a treasure card. You'd also get gold for each goblin killed. They're not very powerful, so you'd only get 20 gold. And the treasure card gives us an ensorcel blade, and you've got a lovely bit of flavour text telling you about what it does, and then actually you get the functional, which is just +1 to hit. You can also see it's worth 150 gold, so if we get into a town, and if we're playing the campaign version of the game, then we would actually be able to sell that if we wanted to. So that's basically what's going to happen. The cool mechanic is, of course, is that it's going to take a couple of rounds to kill all of these goblins, and you'll be rolling the wizard's power every single round, and invariably you'll roll a 1, and invariably loads of minotaurs will come up and start to kill you. So it's unlikely you're going to live. I've played 10 games now. My dwarf has survived once, and everyone else has died. But that's part of the fun. Okay, so I mean our heroes, they're still looking okay for now, but I think we all know that they're about to meet their doom through that door. And I'll leave it there. If people want to see more, then I can always show you sort of what happens in the objective room, which is when we reach the end of our quest. But I hope that just sort of shows you how the combat will work, how we explore through rooms, and just how fun it is really. It's only a silly little light game. I don't find it takes very long, but it's a damn lot of fun basically. Okay, hope this is of interest. I'll be on the next video in the not too distant future.